Hello everybody and welcome to my channel, and today we'll be talking about top 5 best control cards for Modern Horizons 2. Now, because this video is sponsored by Card Market, there will be a competition where you can win a €10 voucher coupon to redeem in the Card Market store, which is the best place you can sell or purchase paper cards or Magic related products. The only thing you need to do is just in the comments, once you've liked and subscribed to the channel, let me know what the best card for Control in your opinion is and why. I will randomly select people and give them vouchers. Now, I've got 2 honorable mentions and then we can go into the top 5. You can use the chapters on the timeline on YouTube to skip if you wish to. Now, the first honorable mention is Vindicate. So it's an honorable mention, it's not on the list, because it's a sorcery. So 3 mana is a lot, and it pushes you into Esper. I know there are a lot of people who really like Blue Moon, who really like Blue-White control, who try to experiment with Blue-Black control. Some people like Band, just Jeskai, so many different combinations, and this basically says you have to play Esper. That's the first reason it doesn't make the cut. Second of all, it's a sorcery. So you probably play like 1 main deck, maybe 2 or 1 in the sideboard. Is just the sorcery speedness of that card is just not something I can justify, and it won't be shell revolutionizing, you know? It's okay, it's fine, it might be a nice addition, but I think there are better options, which I will show very soon. Vindicate, honorable mention, probably a 1 or max 2 of in specifically Esper. Now, another interesting card is Moderation. So it's a 3 mana enchantment which says you can only cast 1 spell each turn, and whenever you do, you draw a card. So I think it's a very interesting build-around card because you can try to abuse Incarnations, for example, Force of Negation, free spells in general. So you can cast 1 spell your turn, 1 spell their turn, you keep drawing cards. Because you draw cards, you can easily pitch, like it offsets the pitch of forces and free spells. In addition, it's blue-white, so it pitches to either Incarnation and Force. So if you have multiple copies, you can just easily do that. Now, also, if you play multiple copies, the first line, the condition still applies, but it doesn't change much. However, the second line stacks, so you'll be drawing multiple cards every turn. You can also play Bobble, for example, in that shell to easily trigger it main phase, because you also want to draw it main phase to keep drawing cards. You can play Wall of Omens, Mishra's Bobble, obviously no Snapcaster Mage because it just literally doesn't work with the card. I don't know, you can play Terminus, right? Because if you play Incarnations, you can play Terminus, right? Because it's either a mass removal spell off the top, or you can pitch it to white Incarnation rather than deal with it in hand and try to put it back on top. So it sounds good. There might be something there. That's why it's an honorable mention, because there might be some kind of shell to build around that. Now let's get to the top 5. I think the 5th spot is Damn. Now, it's said to be the best mass removal printed, because it's either mass removal spell or a point removal spell. Now, if your opponent is on the play, and you know you will be overloaded or overwhelmed with threats, you can just damn one of them as single point removal spell, because what's the point of having a mass removal spell if you're going to be dead by turn 4? So you can just kill a creature, right? And then later, turn 4, turn 5, you can play another copy as a mass removal spell, right? So the flexibility is incredible. Now the cost is steep. Now, I don't think there is a deck which can support it effectively. You can try it in Esper again, so it's quite limiting. Try with Filterlands. But I think this card will really shine when we get an Esper Triumph. And I think because now Esper has got like 2 main deck removal flex slots, which sometimes go to Blood Chief's Thirst, go for the Throat, Doomblade, Heartless Act, different options. And I think these spots could be taken by Damn because it kills Storming Entity, just kills anything really, right? Reality Smasher, Thought Not Seer, and because of its presence there, you can not play it enables you not to play any main deck mass removal spell like Supreme Verdict, whilst allowing you to actually play these, right? So you can have these 2 in the spot removal slot after 4 pushes, and then it frees up your slots for having more mass removal spells in the sideboard and no main deck, which again frees up the slot but also gives the flexibility. But however, now it's not really widely played. It cannot be widely played because of the mana and only in Esper. So that's why it gets the 5th slot. Now 4 goes to Prismatic Ending. And Prismatic Ending is a better Path to Exile. Like, Path to Exile nowadays is very lackluster. Aggro decks have Lurus, so they can take advantage of the extra lands. Or non-Lurus decks like Blue-Red has Expressive Iteration, has got Stormwing Entity, has got cantrips, so they go through their deck, they always have something to do. You don't want to path a 1-drop, because it just gives them such a boost, especially if you're on the draw. If you're playing against an Arbor Elf deck, you don't want to path it, because what's the point of pathing a Mana Dog, right? Push excels at all these things. However, not everybody plays black. You might want to play Jeskai, banned, or just blue-white, right? I, as the premier blue-white control influencer, yes, I do. I get that. I get that you want to just play blue-white control. And if that's the case, there you go. This is your savior. This is something that will really help you, Prismatic Ending, because it scales with mana. So that's bad because you can't really kill a 3-drop in blue-white control, right? You don't have mana. You might splash a blue-white red Triumph, which will help you. But it gets the job done, right? 1-drop, whatever 1-drop, kill it for 1 mana. Now it also deals with Chalice of the Void. It also deals with something like Renin 6, which is very important. You can just kill Renin 6 very cleanly turn 2, which is very helpful. You play blue-eye, probably you play Teferi Time Raveler already, so it will be instant speed a non-zero number of times. Also, when you do splash this 1 raw green Triumph, which I think is basically free, at this point you also get to kill opposing Teferis, right? And I don't know, ensnaring bridges, Trini spheres, or just whatever they throw at you, right? So I think this card is very flexible. I think even Esper will play it. Maybe until they play Damn, 2 Prismatic Ending will be the choice. However, it doesn't kill Storming Entity, which is a concern. But I think it's a very strong card, which will warrant 2-3 slots in most white-based control decks. Could be split with Path. You could like 2 Path, 3 Ending. Very, very nice card. Very flexible. That's the 4th slot. Now, slot 3, and that's the 3 slot goes to 2 cards, so that's kind of cheating, but it's Incarnations. The white Incarnation is basically Swords to Plowshares. It will not probably played in Esper, more likely in blue-white, which I think will have to warp itself a bit to support the exiling. Exiling a white card is not free, because you have to play white cards, and most blue decks just play blue, and just have white just on top, right? A bit of Path, maybe Teferi Time Raveler, Hero of Dominaria, that's it. Like 7 cards maybe, right? 6, 8, that's just not many, right? Unless you want to pitch one Incarnation to another. So it's actually not that easy, and the hard cast cost is quite steep. But I think in a proper shell, like if we find a way to play it, it will be very strong. Like just the fact that you can play with Jace, just pass the turn and have answer is very strong. Because if they play a creature, you can just kill it. But also if they play a Planeswalker, you can just counter it. Or if the creature has ETB, you can counter it. Or if they play a non-creature spell, you can phone it. Right, so if you have this kind of blue-white free spells shell, these cards will excel. Subtlety will be very strong in Primeval Titan formats, because just playing Teferi or Jace and then subtleting a Primeval Titan, because it even puts it on top through Cavern, is very strong, very, very strong. Let alone just hard casting it, right? You just hard cast Subtlety, put something back on top, and you're golden, right? You've got a threat even. So I think Incarnations do not see as much play as I would expect them to, but I think once the meta settles a bit more and control decks are just a bit better, these cards will be very, very strong. 2, do you know what 2 is? I think if I give you 2, you will know what the first one is. 2 is Riptide Laboratory. Now hear me out. It's not inherently as powerful as the previously mentioned cards like Incarnations, but it's much wider in its application. Blue-red, blue-black, Jeskai, Band, Esper, just mono blue, just choose what controllers you want to play, you put it in there. You put it in there. Now, obviously, in 3-color decks, it's sketchy mana-wise, but people have been playing Field of Ruin in 3-color decks since forever. So that should be fine. And what it does is just, it works wonders with Snapcaster Mage and Vendilion Clique. Post-board, or maybe even game 1, if you play Clique's main deck, you go Vendilion Clique, see your hand, and no. You can even bounce, if just already bounce it end step and just keep doing that, keep looking at their hand. Or if you have a lot of mana, you can just bash them for 3, pick up, play, look at the hand, put the payoff to the bottom, continue playing, and just keep doing that, right? Making it basically, every turn a Thoughtseize plus Lightning Bolt, which actually puts pressure on them. Snapcaster Mage, end games. In the end game, if you have a full graveyard, which is how it works most of the time, you just top deck Snapcaster Mage, right? And then you go main deck Snapcaster, opt, okay, pass, and then bounce Snapcaster Mage, replay Cryptic Command, counter draw, my turn, okay, bounce it with Riptide Laboratory, and then it just, if they, like, you make them have to have removal, and post board, this engine is going to be wild. Now you will play 1 Laboratory because it's awkward on mana, so it's going to come up not that often, but when it does, it's going to be very sweet and I think very strong. So that's why it gets the 2nd place. The 1st place is very predictable. It's something what we've been waiting for a long time. Now again, looking at my criteria, you will know why it's in the 1st place, right? Because it applies to all the control decks, right? So that's why, that's the first thing. It doesn't narrow it down to like Esper only. Any control deck plays it. It's an upgrade from Mana Leak, because now when you're playing as Titan, Tron, or even a Mirror Match, Counterspell, get rid of it. There have been situations when your opponent's flooding out, your giant opponent's flooding out, right? Which is normal, right? The turn, we've got turn 10, they've drawn a bunch of cards, so naturally they will draw out of lands. But then, they top deck Liliana, they top deck the new Hymn to Turak, they top deck whatever. And then Mana Leak doesn't work, like literally doesn't, right? And then even though you draw a spell, it's not really a spell. You can try to chain Mana Leaks or hope your opponent multi-spells, so you actually get them with Mana Leak. But sometimes it just doesn't work. And at this point, you probably lose because you have nothing else to do. And Counterspell prevents these situations from happening. And now if you look at all these things I've mentioned, you've got Prismatic Ending for problematic early permanents, Counterspell for the late game, and Riptide Laboratory, also a nice endgame engine. Dam, which can possibly like fill the hole of mass removal spells main deck. All these cards just kind of look at the whole control archetype and the holes in it, and just fills the gaps very nicely, creating a cohesive structure which works very nicely. And just now we don't lose the end game as much. We don't lose early to like a Ren and 6 as much, right? And then we cut off the situations where we lose, right? Making us win more, clearly, right? Also, Counterspell just is such an iconic card that it will be very nice to use it. Now, that's not a consideration that it's a difficulty in cost, because you can say, okay, but if you want to snap Counterspell, just 3 blue. Yeah, sure, but it's turn 4 at least, and you're already prepared to do it because you play Cryptic Command and Archmage's Charm. Maybe turn 2 it will be a problem, but will it though? Most people adapt their mana bases. So now, yes, in blue-white control you probably will not play for Field of Ruin, or you will have to hedge. But that's fine. That's the risk you take. That's the tension you've got. That's the trade-off you take. You might go to Counterspell to Mana Leak, for example, right? And play Field of Ruin. So that's an interesting deck building decision now, and there's an actual trade-off. And so this will conclude the list. So quickly, to come back, Moderation and Vindicate as my honorable mentions. Then we've got Damn, we've got Prismatic Ending, Incarnations, Riptide Laboratory, and Counterspell. Now, please remember that there is this competition. Let me know what card is the best from your perspective and why in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I will message you and give you some money to spend on probably the card which you've picked. And as always, you know what I'm going to say. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for your time. And as always, please remember to hold my hand. Let's pass the 10 together. And see you next time. Cheers.